Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Realm of Ori. In this video, we will continue with Volume 13, Chapter 3, Labyrinth Siege, Part 2. And before we start, this video contains spoilers from the anime and manga series. And by the way guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos. So without further ado, let's get into the video. To facilitate the Imperial invasion, we prepared a gate on the ground, but that was perhaps a little too deliberate. I was a little worried about whether the other person would suspect that it was a trap, and I ended up worrying too much. Its information is obtained through the Argos, so I don't think there's any mistake, and Sue's men are also watching, so there's no need to worry about being deceived by illusions or other tricks. It looks like the Imperial Army has really taken the bait. We have no intention of surrendering at all. While there is the possibility of escape, there is absolutely no submission to the Empire. It's a win. I couldn't help but mutter. Right. We will win. In fact, by this time it was already certain that tactically we had won. It's a good thing some greedy fool was drawn to the maze. Indeed. Originally I was going to say that the bait spilled by Lord Rimuru was too obvious, and it was great to smoothly get the opponent on the hook. Yeah, it looks like Gadra has got things in order. In any case, it would be strategically unwise for the Empire to pass through our doors. If they just blocked the door on the ground like that and went straight to the west, there would be trouble. That's true. 100,000 of the 700,000 would be enough to surround. Don't you have to warn those people on the ground? If it's to incite them to anger, they'll probably be outraged to go to war, won't they? These comments are worth listening to, but with no warning. Oh? What's the reason? You know that, don't you? There are words above the door. Ah, to hear you put it that way it does. In fact, there is an engraved message at the gate on the ground. The weak have no right to pass through this door. I wonder how my opponent will act when I see that. I think I'd feel the heat and rush in. It's just that they'll let the men go first. I wouldn't care, because I'm strong. My words would be like this. If Beretta had said he wanted to go anyway, I probably would have thought there was nothing I could do with him and gone along. Lord Rimuru is merciful, and there can be no complaint about someone being stupid enough to ignore your warning, no matter what happens in the end. So if anyone is too cowardly to walk through the door, he is not qualified to go to war. We will destroy them without mercy, and must show them how foolish it is to be hostile to Lord Rimuru. People were really energetic and looked energetic as they talked to me about giving me a bigger victory. Testarossa and the others. Soul Collection was dedicated to me, and for some reason, others who had learned of it were planning to paint gourds as well. If I did get all these people's souls, I could awaken 7 other people. Horrible to think of myself as naturally emerging from this. After renewing my resolve, I turned my eyes to the big screen. Looks like they're out in force. Everything is going according to plan. If more than half the people break in, it will be much easier for us after that. We will not spare a single soldier. Depending on the situation, I will also strike. My second corps can actually send out about 17,000 men. We are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers alone, but we are not at a loss. Let's change the terrain and seal off the enemy's army. So reliable. If the inside is completely burned with my flame again, then only the strong ones worth fighting will remain. On that note, I suppose Ms. Carrera will help as well. She seemed eager to make a scene from a moment ago, and would have been happy to play to her strengths. The power of the primordials is unquestionable. But I won't lose to her. Benimaru, you're too cunning. Since we're going to fight a war of annihilation, we should put me on the field. Calm down, Xian. Be the first to see how the enemy will act. Depending on the situation, it may also be possible to ask you to go out. Kufufufufu. Speaking of Lord Rimuru's bodyguard, having me alone will suffice. Since Lord Rimuru has said so, alright. I'll ask you to strike at that time too, Xian. Benimaru, just leave it to me. That follows. Rimuru, I'm going to get ready. I'm coming too. To show them the horrors of the maze. You can rest easy with me as your last line of defense. Then if you'll excuse me, Lord Rimuru. Then let's go and see what the enemy is capable of. As such, we are about to face off against a total of 700,000 Imperial troops. When the leader of the Mecha Legion, Calgurio, saw that the situation was developing as expected, he secretly snickered. He looked at his army with great confidence. Ahead lies the labyrinth that will bring great wealth to Calgurio. He had consulted with those staff officers several times about the invasion route, deliberately allowing the Magic Tank Division to attack from the front so as to be conspicuous. In addition to that, if the evil dragon Veldora shows up to repel him, they also send 100 blimps of the Killer Air Combat Air Corps. It was also the job of the Air Combat Flying Corps to transport the Legion of Warcraft led by Gladim to the west. Yet they would fly over the sea and the journey was bound to be safe. If Gladim and the others had attacked the capital of Ingratia, they would have put an end to this war in one fell swoop. By waging war on two fronts at once like this, Calgurio's mech legions were responsible for a great deal in comparison. This means a lucrative campaign once successful. According to the intelligence obtained beforehand, the metropolis ruled by the Demon Lord seemed to have been isolated into the maze. He had originally wondered how that was possible, but it was all true. What remained on the ground was a single door to the maze. Upon receiving this report, the Calgurios marched in according to the intended plan and have now suppressed the land that looked like the base of the Demon Lord Rimuru. It might be a bit of a shame to let Geist get Gazel's head, but the minions won't come after me until they give me something sweet to eat. There's no way around that. That said, Lieutenant General Geist and Major General Faraga, who were among the best under Calgurio's men, were among the best. Although both Geist and Faraga were now dead, it was too much for Calgurio to detect. By the way, hasn't Geist contacted us yet? Yes. Ever since Lieutenant General Geist returned, they had begun to engage the enemy and had been unable to make contact since. I think it's about time we got a look at the situation. After all, it's impossible for them to get into a bitter fight and not contact us, isn't that too lazy? Yes, I'm not sure. Forget it. So, what's going on over at Faraga? However, the liaison officer in charge of liaising with Faraga was not quite right, desperately trying to make contact with the other man. What's going on? Report from Major General Faraga that he's encountered a suspected Veldora. We'll report back when it's confirmed, but there was no further contact after that. No further contact at all after the first report. According to the communication magic instructor underneath them, the magic element of the Jura Great Forest was very strong, and under normal circumstances, it could easily obstruct the communication numinous wave. Calgurio didn't think it would be useful to worry about it, so he didn't intend to go into detail. And as the communication magic instructor said, the surrounding magical concentration will have an effect, and there's a good chance that the magic communication won't get through. Then just wait for them to bring good news. If they did run into Veldora, Geist and Faraga certainly couldn't contact us. That being the case, we can't afford to lose. Come on down to the maze. Now that Faraga met Veldora, all that's left in the maze is the Demon Lord. Without the slightest confusion, Calgurio decided to set his mind on the maze before him. The spot where Calgurio was staying was a large open field, big enough to stuff an entire metropolis. There was only one door there, just waiting for Calgurio and the others to come and challenge them. There was a phrase written on the gate, "The weak have no right to pass through it," and Calgurio thought it proved he had thought it right. Hide everything for fear of being plundered by us. It's obviously magic and a little clever, isn't it? Think you can win by cutting off our supplies? It's stupid. Ha 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 ha, Lord Calgurio, don't make them sound so sad. That Demon Lord Rimuru made a mistake right from the start. Our proud, mech-modified regiment sends its strongest assassin, the evil dragon Veldora, to take on the bait. By the time they found out, they were already surrounded by so many heroes. But there's no reason to think so. It's bait, but it's a big army. Exactly, I can understand that. You think you're a demon lord, but that's not all. You must be shrinking into a ball in the depths of the maze right now. Whoa. That's how it is. The next thing we need to do is drag the Demon Lord to Lord Calgurio and cut off his head. That way, Lord Calgurio will become a hero for killing the Demon Lord. The first step is to attack this maze and establish roots here. Like Calgurio, the staffers seemed convinced that they would win. After all, they had an army of 700,000. Let's start the border on this land and make it a camp. Then send troops there in order. Everyone, get up and tackle the maze. Leave it to us. Then proceed as planned. Most were able to get substantial gold and silver treasures within the labyrinth, which heightened their interest. The lust in the hearts of these people wins. It is because they are sure they will win that Calgurio and others openly accept their desires. They were convinced that their share of the treasure in the labyrinth would make them a fortune. With that, Operation Maze Raid began. It's just that, the real posture of the labyrinth, which no one has ever experienced, awaits them just ahead. It is hell on earth.